There's a glow that's burning in the night. I can see it on the other side. Are we dancing into paradise? On your streets of gold. On your streets of gold. There's a love that's waiting to ignite. I can feel it burning deep inside. Are we dancing into paradise? On your streets of gold. On your streets of gold. Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul. Shine a light of good for all to see. Full of hope and love and melody. We're all dancers waiting to be free. On your streets of gold. On your streets of gold. Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul. Like a river flowing in my soul.
Walk on the streets that are made of gold. We will walk on the streets that are made of gold. Walk on the streets that are made of gold. We will walk on the streets that are. Oh, hallelujah.
Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. Hear the choir singing. Hear the church bells ringing. Walk the streets made of gold. Like a river flowing in my soul. 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 Like a river flowing in my soul.
Folks, when they look at the Catholic Church, tend to look at some of the things and think, hey, that's kind of weird. Why do Catholics do that? Well, it's because we're awesome. Tonight, we're going to talk about 3 Catholic traditions that are kind of weird, but we love them. My name is Father Christopher Plant. I'm the pastor of St. Bartholomew here in Katy, Texas.
My name is Father Ray Carriola, and I'm the parochial vicar.
There's 2 priests, but 1 seminarian, and that's me, Christopher Meyer.
Welcome to Conversing Clergy, clergy who talk and listen.
Here I am at your door. Would you let me in? I have gained.
So we want to welcome all of those who come here regularly, our regular participants. We don't have an audience, we have participants, and that's because we like to invite people to engage in the chat, engage in the conversation. I also want to welcome our Patreon patrons who continue to financially sustain Conversing Clergy and have actually helped us to make some improvements. I don't know if you've noticed, if you've watched Conversing Clergy before, but you may have noticed that new intro with the new logo and also the new watermark that you can kind of see up there. We have a new logo. So all of that was helped, not just financially in terms of the websites that we use to do that development, but also the Patreons put in their input about which intro we should use because there are multiple options. So that was a lot of fun. They took part in the poll. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon patron, you can go down to the YouTube page here or Facebook page, and they have the patreon.com/conversingclergy. Also, we want to welcome any newcomers. We're so happy that you are with us, and we hope that you enjoy this evening. The mission of conversing clergy is to be clergy that are conversing. What that means is that we talk, we listen, we invite chat from those who are watching in order for us to have a conversation in which we hear Jesus speaking to us, so that just like the apostles on the way to Emmaus, our hearts may be burning within us with divine love. We do invite, if you want to get notifications or you keep in touch with the things that we're going to be doing in the future as we do these conversing clergies, as we pray the rosary every single day during the pandemic, and as we also continue to offer videos, please feel free, if you're watching on Facebook, to like whichever Facebook page you're on, to like the page and also to follow. Or if you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you can actually receive notifications when we publish a video or a live stream. All right. So we have a very fun evening for tonight, but before we get into that, we always like to talk about our mugs, because the mug is part of our logo, and it's because it represents that which it contains, which is coffee, which represents that which it fuels, which is conversation. So I have my mug, the Stormtrooper mug. And why is that? It's because tonight I feel like a real trooper.
Okay, well, mine is Our Lady of Guadalupe mug. That is pretty new. I think we got them last week. Everyone got a new one. And so I always want to be under the protection of Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Okay, so a few weeks ago, I told you the mug that I wish I had, and now I have it. Thank you to David and Kitty Robson. This is way more than I envisioned. Memento Mori, this is a unbelievably realistic skull here that will remind me of my death, as it reminded St. Francis of Assisi, who kept a skull on his desk.
Yeah.
So I want to keep this on my desk forever so that I remember that I will die, and I need to be good.
There's nothing like drinking a tasty beverage from the inside of a human skull.
It probably tastes a little bit better. Makes you wiser. You're drinking its brain.
It really
Oh
does
my
look
gosh.
real. It's pretty terrifying how real it looks. I'm sorry for the kids at home.
For some reason, I'm getting... Well, and that's something we want to mention for tonight as well, because we are going to get to some things that might require some parental discretion.
Yeah, this is
some
good...
of the weird stuff.
If you can't handle this, you can't handle the show tonight.
Actually, kind of reminds me of that Indiana Jones, the second movie, Temple of Doom. So I won't go into what the scene is. We have kids watching. So at any rate, so let's go over what's going on for tonight, Father Ricardo. What's our schedule?
Well,
are you going to talk about
Chris,
it? It's your
that's
turn.
right,
You talk about it. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna start big with our 3 traditions, but we know why you're here, so we're also gonna break that up with some meme time, everybody's favorite. And Father Christopher likes to say, if you're good, he will show the 3rd meme. Well, let me just say, I hope you're not too good, because I'm kind of scared of the 3rd meme tonight. So we'll maybe see that, maybe not. We're going to end like we always do with some Q&A for the last 20 minutes. So you can just fire off the really tough questions for Father Christopher and just give me the nice, easy softballs right down the middle. Thank you.
Yeah, just ask about the most controversial stuff.
Right.
You know, women priesthood and... what are some other controversial ones? You know, anything regarding politics, we love to answer political questions. Just kidding. Just kidding on that one. Awesome. I'll read out some of the chats as well, just to give you a shout out. Please feel free to put in your chat all throughout the evening on YouTube or Facebook, and we'd be happy to include you in our conversations. So we love comments and questions. So Joseph Troxler, we're reading down my personal YouTube channel, says, greetings from the Troxlers. Jennifer says, hello from the Vershinsky family. They actually put down how you pronounce their last name, because if you look at their last name, you might think it's a typo. One long typo. Suzanne Perez says, awesome. Joe Isham, hello from the Ishams. Mari Cruz, hello. Melissa Mejia, good evening. Adri Tej, good evening, everyone. LaDonna Hartman puts in a heart because she is a Hartman. Carolina Ruiz says, hello, Father Christopher, Father Ricardo, and Seminarian Christopher. The Ruiz family are joining you. My little brother and I like your Stormtrooper mug, Father Christopher. Glad to hear it. Sylvia says, good evening to all of you. Looking forward to our conversing topic. And Il Nelson says, hello, all. Grace Trevino, good evening to everyone. On the Facebook St. Bartholomew page, Sarah Duffy is with us. Good evening. St. Bartholomew Catholic Church says good evening. So I'm glad that St. Bart's is with us. I think that's from Pamela. Pam.
If your church doesn't
from
support
Pam.
you, who does?
Yeah, that's from Pam Felsman. So she's our communications director. So she's helping out. Judy Bearden says love this show. Thank you. We love you. We're glad you're on it. We're glad you're here with us. Jack Bailey is watching. Sylvia Torres Garcia says, hello all. Jack Bailey says, love the mugs. Eduardo Michael says, good evening. Lynn Lewis, happy to see you all. Norma Rodriguez is throwing us a heart and prayer hands. Charlotte Sacco says, is that a new CC logo? Yes, it is. That is our new CC logo. And I hope that you like it. We wanted to kind of clean it up a little bit more and simplify it. So we went, used one of our websites and drafted it. And then Father Ricardo helped as well. Because the logos, like the coffee mug, didn't have a cross in it because these websites obviously just don't have that kind of symbolism for some reason. But Father Ricardo applied his talents and did some magic in Photoshop and was able to Christianize the symbols. So, so it has the
baptized the
cross.
logo.
You baptize a logo,
Yeah.
or like
it was an emergency baptism.
It was. That's right. It was. Well, it's like the obelisk where they in Rome where they put a cross into it. So it's
Right.
kind of like that too. Claudia Sanchez says prayer hands. Very cool. And Jackie Wilson says hello to the trio and waiting for this interesting subject. Awesome. And we're also very very much looking forward to tonight's conversation. Jessica Saldana says, good evening, Conversing Clergy. Deacon Bill Wagner says, just made it. Howdy all. And Ana Aguilera says, hola a todos. Huge fan. Thank you so much. All right. So those are all the comments so far. I think it's time to go ahead and get started with the rest of the evening. So the first thing, as you heard us say, we're going to talk about 3 weird Catholic traditions that we really love. And when we said we meant more like just us 3. So it may sound like we're saying all Catholics love this. And we said, we're just going to talk about ourselves.
They should love them.
What we love, and therefore you should too. That's the idea. Just kidding. So let's go ahead and talk about the first thing. This was Christopher Meyer talking about this, what appears to be weird to others, but that he personally loves.
So our first we're going to talk about the scapular, and we're talking about specifically the scapular of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. So there's actually lots of scapulars, but there's one that everybody really knows.
And you sent me a photo as well. Do you want them to see it?
Sure, let's see it.
So we'll switch over to that, yeah.
So I actually became very interested in the scapular. It's funny, I have to confess, I was enrolled in the scapular already, but when I was in Puebla, on my way to the Spanish school that we were learning the language at, there was this beautiful church that we went to Mass every single morning at, and it was Our Lady of Mount Carmel, owned by Carmelites. And they had an amazing devotion and lots of people enrolled in the scapular. And this was the beautiful parish on the feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel on July 16th. So I remember that day I skipped all of my Spanish classes, which you can tell now that I did that. I went to 2 masses, one with the bishop. I bought a bunch of scapulars. So I took this scapular off today because I wanted to bring it as a prop, but don't worry, I'm wearing my backup scapular underneath my cassock here. So I think a lot of people getting into the teaching of the scapular hear the first thing, oh, if you die wearing the scapular, you go to heaven automatically. And it kind of starts to sound like a magic trick, and people are very scared of that, and rightfully so. So I want to go to the quote that comes from. So Our Lady appeared to a Carmelite and told him, after it had started to get some devotion, she appeared to St. Simon Stock in England and said, this is a privilege for you and the order. Whoever dies wearing the scapular will be saved. So it was really a confirmation of a tradition that had already come. And we had to realize the way that she was speaking. I mean, I think we say a lot of times that knowing Jesus doesn't mean we're saved, because even the demons know who Jesus is.
Right, exactly.
So that's my short explanation for that. And I want to just talk about why is it called a scapular real quick. So scapula in Latin literally just means shoulder. And so the part that monks wear, so a Carmelite monk wears a brown habit, and there's a piece that just goes literally over their shoulders that's called the scapular. So that's a piece of the habit, which is just the robe that a monk wears. And so lay people or non-monks, so that includes me and even when I'm a priest, non-monk, started wearing this to be enrolled in the scapular, but obviously they weren't dressed as monks. So it's a really beautiful tradition. And some of the people who are called third order, so there's different levels, have giant ones. I don't know if you've ever seen these. I mean, they're
Yeah,
like
I have.
they're like this big.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like wearing a hair shirt underneath because you have the
Right.
tough material. But I think that's what I really want to emphasize about the scapular is it's primarily a promise to fulfill your mission as an apostle of Jesus in the way that Mary did. So with her disposition, with her fervence of prayer, and to do it along with Mary. And so it's a really beautiful devotion in the church. And I don't think any of us think, I can do anything I want, and if I die wearing the scapular, I'm good. In the same time, if someone is faithful to the promises of the scapular, if they take it off for a shower, I think we're going to say that they're okay. Does that sound okay?
I think that's okay. Yeah. Someone
if
actually
they die in the shower, you know.
And I've actually seen metallic scapulars as well. So I am wearing a metal scapular on one end, and I also have the metal, Benedict, the Saint Benedict metal as well. So I've seen that too. But yeah, Layla's asking the question, Chris Meyer, are you a third order Carmelite?
I am not a third order Carmelite. I don't know if I guess I could be, huh? Priests can be third order.
Yeah, they can.
Which shout out to Deacon Bill. He gave me this book, and I wish we could cover even more in it. And Deacon Bill is kind of your guy to talk to because we enroll at St. Bartholomew. So just letting you know, if you're interested, there's going to be a huge flux.
Now, I have a question. Does the priest has to impose the scapular on the person with special prayers or something?
So yes, there's actually rites to be enrolled in the scapular, and those rites can be delivered by a priest or by a deacon. And so I think Deacon Bill is kind of the guy here at St. Bartholomew.
Yeah. That's right, for the consecration.
Now
For the
Mary,
consecration. But the thing is, once you receive that, you don't have to do it again. So sometimes when people ask me to bless a scapular, and I ask them, have you already been enrolled? You have that prayer, yes, and in which case you don't need to have it blessed. So of course I'll bless them anyway and say, may you continue to live out the charism. So
one thing that I thought was interesting in reading this book that Deacon Bill gave me was that it's kind of like baptism. It actually likes it to be a community event, which I was enrolled one-on-one with a priest in an office, and I was like, oh wow, they want it to be a community event. So made me think, man, we need to start pushing for with proper preparation. You know, I think St. Bartholomew has been working on a 33-day consecration in preparation for enrollment, which is pretty cool.
I have another question here from Sarah Duffy. What is the proper way to wear it? Is it under the clothing or over?
So so under the clothing, but that's kind of a joke that happens a lot of times when you're working. It'll kind of pop out, and that's the joke. Like, someone wants everybody to know how holy they are. In every seminarian,
or like when you're in a public place, like I don't know, if you go work out at the gym, you know, it's something weird, and sometimes they think it's your tag. It's like, what is that brown thing you have there? I'm like, scapular.
Yeah,
I actually.
what is that?
When I played football in high school, you know, I wore it all the time. I wore it under my pads. So I remember as I was changing, some of the guys would say, "Dude, what is that? Those look like tea bags." You know.
Yeah. Like,
now this was back when tea bag wasn't a dirty thing like it is now. But
and you know,
back in the '90s, that wasn't it. Yeah.
That's the cool thing about weird stuff.
Yeah.
That there are icebreakers with people, and then you can show your faith in public.
Right.
Because something grabs their attention.
And the scapular is a great sign, and it's just like a wedding ring. A wedding ring isn't a guarantee that you're going to be faithful to the promises, but if you're wearing your wedding ring with pride, it's because you're faithful to the promises. So I think that's kind of the analogy I like to use with the scapular. But I will admit, I felt bad about it, but I took off my scapular right before I came in for the pre-seminary basketball game, and I put it on the scorer's table because it gets tangled.
Yeah, that happens to me.
Marty's asking, so you cannot wear a scapular unless enrolled by a priest? That's the question that's being asked. I remember when I started wearing the scapular, years ago. I don't remember being enrolled. I don't know if I've ever been enrolled.
It's not
actually.
a sin.
Yeah, it's not a sin
if you do it, but that's the proper way to do it.
Yeah,
to be enrolled.
Yeah,
with the scapular.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do. So. I'm even thinking of an idea at some point. It's been in the back of my mind. A couple of things. I would like to do the actual blessing of the Benedict medal, Saint Benedict medal. I mean, not that our blessings would be fake, but to do the blessing that has been written out for it, and also the enrollment of the scapular for people that might want that, on a regular basis once we get through this quarantine time.
Yeah, no, it looks like almost a liturgy of the word for a wedding. the aroma of the scapular. It has readings,
Mm.
intentions, universal prayer.
Yeah. Suzanne Perez says, I do not take mine off except to shower. Layla says, I do not wear a scapular. My brain cannot multitask between Carmelite and Franciscan. I am too dumb. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Can you multitask? I mean, if you're a Jesuit, you can plug Jesuit into anything.
Yeah, that's right.
So here we go. Here's where the jokes start.
The Carmelites are, I mean, everybody's great, but the Carmelites, I feel like they have like the highest level of prayer. So I just like to be a little bit associated with them. I mean, they're like Saint Teresa of Avila, Saint John
I love
of the
their
Cross.
saints. Yeah.
I mean, they're
Oh yeah,
two of the best
absolutely.
saints.
Saint
for
Teresa
prayer.
Lisieux, have
the
a very
best
close-
mystics.
Yeah.
This
So, yeah.
church that I fell in love with had not a single statue of Teresa of Lisieux. You know why?
Why?
Because it was built before she was alive.
Oh wow!
Isn't
Well, there
that
you go.
amazing?
See, that's what's great about
It
going
is.
to Europe, where churches are old, like really old.
And this
So-
is in Mexico, but Puebla.
Mexico, yeah,
everybody
yeah.
knows that
Well,
Puebla
in
is the
Mexico-
Spain. It's kind
Yeah.
of like the Spanish mission.
Oh
And
yeah,
it looks like-
they've got churches going back to the 1500s. I remember that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys know anything about the green scapular and
I've
the
s-
difference?
Nothing.
That's
other
another
than,
one. I mean, there's like 16 of them, 20 of them.
Oh
Oh,
wow!
geez, I didn't know that.
Different colors, you mean?
Well, because there's different devotions. So
Different
the brown
devotions,
one
yeah.
is just the really popular one. That's the Carmelite.
Yeah, they're
but-
distinct.
Hmm.
They're distinct. Yeah. Awesome conversation. Others say that they actually take it off if they sweat. Can they wash it? I think you could wash it. I don't see why not. So good. We have a lot of great conversations coming in. But at this moment, though, all this talk about holiness and thinking about the scapular, it's getting me kind of itchy. When I think about wearing a scapular.
Yeah.
Or no, wait a minute. Maybe it's another kind of an itch.
Oh,
I think it's an
Meme
itch for the meme time.
me.
It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness. It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
How does Moses make coffee?
He
Brews it.
Yeah, I remember. I think I was 5 when the first time I heard that joke. I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. No love, man. No love. This is what it's like to be a brother priest, man. This is what we do to each other all the time.
I just want to say, like, that meme in entertainment wise it's pretty good. It's probably like a 7 out of 10.
It's clever,
But
yeah.
also the fact that it's on a mug, I mean, that's 8.5, 9 out of 10 for
That's
conversing
right.
clergy. I mean, that is for us.
Definitely.
That-
Because it's
that
on a
meme-
mug.
Mhm.
We got to find a way to get one of those.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's coming
like
now. It's coming, and it's going to be even
I
better. It's going to be
know.
better than what you just
I know.
asked for.
We're all gonna have that. We're all gonna have a set.
I don't think it's gonna be better than that.
You know, I got this, and I told my friend about it, and he goes, "You should ask your parishioners for a used car so you can get a Ferrari."
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, David and Katie.
All right, thumbs up if you like that comment. Just kidding. Thumbs up if you like that meme. Thumbs down if you didn't like it. Let's get a war started in YouTube and Facebook because we are, after all, a Catholic group. All right. So the next one is to talk about the next weird thing that we
Yeah.
love. And I think, Father Ricardo, would you like to talk about yours?
Yes. So I do have a picture.
Oh, by the way, this is parental discretion because we're about to show a skull. So I think at least say that.
Oh, and more than that.
More than that. So anyway, so if you want to, parental discretion, but what they're about to see isn't more than what they would have seen if you took them into the church.
I
So let me
prepared
put it
you.
that way. Yeah, there you
Well,
go.
there are some churches in Europe that
Yeah.
you can see that.
Well, that's what I just
Oh,
said.
sorry.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
just said.
So
Yeah.
anyway, what I chose is relics, and I love relics. I think I'll start with a little story. My first encounter with relics that I remember was when I did a retreat by myself at Villa de Mattel here in Houston. And I remember I entered the church and it was completely dark. And I finally found a switch in one of those side altars. And I turned the light on. And then, oh my God, it blew my mind away. There were about, I'm not going to lie to you, like 500 relics of all the saints. And I could not help but just fall on my knees. And it's like, Lord, here are your best friends, and I am surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, right?
Amen.
And I was just like, I was actually crying. That experience was really, really big for me. That was probably about 7 years ago, at least. But anyway, so relics. So yeah, this is kind of weird. I think everybody won't deny that this is a weird tradition that we have in the church. But believe it or not, it goes back all the way till the Old Testament. If you go to 2 Kings, you'll see that the bones of some of the saints there, of some holy people, were used for miraculous healings. But in the church, we can say that it goes the earliest quote that we have from a saint speaking about this is from Polycarp in the 2nd century, and he literally says, that we honor this pieces of the body of the saints or martyrs. So relic, you may want to ask, where does this word come from? Relic. Relic comes from relinquo, which means I leave behind. So it's basically all the things that the saints leave behind, including their body, right? When we die, we leave our bodies.
Cool.
And also our clothes, our belongings, So I want to talk a little bit about the 3 kinds of relics. So first class, second class, third class. The first class is a piece of the body of the saint or the martyr, right?
That's like in this photo here. Those are first class relics.
And we have I love those reliquaries, which is the artifact that contains the relic, that it's in the shape of an arm, because the relic is actually one of these bones of the arm. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah. I see that.
Yeah. And so first class. Second class is something that the saint used when he was alive. It can be his clothes, it can be his mug, that could, if you become a saint, that can become your second class relic. And then the third class relic is any item that has touched the first class relic. So for example, this ring that I have here has touched probably about 10 first relics. So now it has become a third class relic of John Paul II and many other saints.
Actually touch the bones?
Yes.
Oh wow.
But it suffices if it touches the tomb of a saint. So that's enough.
I was
That's
wondering, I
enough.
was like, man, you had some serious access.
I
if
know,
you could
right?
actually
No, but it
touch his
suffices.
body. Yeah.
Well, it was
right.
illegal, but he got the access. So.
Hey, all it takes is a fervent soul and a shovel.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay, okay. Cheers. Cheers, everyone. Anyway, yeah, so relics, I think, like Chris said, it's not that they have magical powers, but is that God, who is spirit, uses matter to convey healings, to convey miracles, right? So the power is not in the thing or in the bone or in the clothes, but it is actually that God uses those things. If you go, to the Gospels, remember when the woman touched the hem of Jesus's cloak?
Yes, right.
And she got healed?
Exactly.
Or in Acts, that they're saying that the handkerchief and other clothes from the apostles were the means by which people were granting healings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's biblical, first of all. Relics is biblical. And we should be open-minded that God can use matter to bring about grace, to bring about healing.
Right.
And anyway, so I love relics.
Yeah, I remember going to Dubrovnik, where they have the bones of Saint Blaise, and I was thinking to myself, it seems kind of morbid to have body parts, right? That we're placing them under altars or having pieces of them. And that might be more of an American sentimentality as well, because of our fear of death, our fear of burial, or always wanted to stay young, etc. But when I went into Dubrovnik, I saw these massive chunks. I mean, looking at his arm bones that are sitting there, and I can't remember which else there was there. It was a femur. Part of me was thinking that's incredible that they actually have large pieces of him, and they're very careful about how they distribute the pieces as first degree relics all throughout the world. So that's where that's the source, right? And that's where Saint Blaise ministered, was in Dubrovnik. But when I was looking at these relics, I was thinking that it was a very powerful, prayerful experience, for one thing, especially because he was a bishop, and just my connection to him as one who was a pastor, as one who was a priest, so being a shepherd, that this was the instrument that God used, as you were saying. This is the instrument, this body is the instrument that God used for his glory and for his work of salvation. And what a beautiful thing that is, and have a connection to him, to have a connection to our Lord Jesus through that relic. And also, this is the body that will be raised up from the dead. So that was my experience.
And I wanna echo that. It's so cool, and it can be, there's kind of a heresy that arises sometimes to pit the body against the soul, and to think when someone dies, oh, now they're free from their body, which is not Catholic. We believe that our salvation occurs in the body, and a saint actually makes their body the good that it's intended to be.
Yes.
And so it's so cool when you see a relic and you think a saint was being sanctified with this body. It's so humbling to be around a relic of a saint and think, wow.
And our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. A fun fact that before I forget, have you noticed that the priests and the deacons, before beginning Holy Mass, we kiss the altar? Well, that tradition comes from our honoring of the relics, because the relics are put in the altars, which, by the way, they have to be first class always. Yeah. And so there are parts during the Mass, especially in the Old Rite, there are like 3 parts or 3 moments that the priest kisses the altar. Yeah. And he says some prayers about it, and he mentions the relics that are there in the altar. So now the priest is not only honoring the altar per se, but also kissing the relics that are there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to go ahead and read through some of the chats here that have come in. A lot of great conversation. Bethany O'Neill says, I learned something new about relics. Thank you, Father Rick. And Deacon Bill Wagner says, am I a second-class relic? I lived in the seminary with Blessed Stanley Rother. I know that I touched him on several occasions. So I think actually you may very well be the source of a first-degree relic, my friend.
That is so
Have
cool,
you taken a shower?
Yeah.
Because if you took a shower, then that's it.
Yeah.
Isn't that is so cool that
but
Deacon Bill lived with Blessed Stanley Rother.
But his son says, yes, you are a relic. So William Wagner's there too, Deacon Bill's son. So we have some that were making some comments about the relics. What are the relics in our altar at St. Bartholomew? We're still investigating that. So I said I would look into it, and I've been a pastor for 4 years, and I don't know the answer to that question, so I am a bit embarrassed. I should know that question, but I know the answer, but I'm going to look into it.
Are you sure we have?
I'm certain we would have. If we did, this was 1999 when it was consecrated, unless somebody took them out.
But our altar is not fixed.
Well, yeah, I know it should be, but it isn't.
Because that could be a cause for not having relics.
No, I doubt that. I doubt that would be the case. You wouldn't consecrate an altar that doesn't have a relic in it. Especially under Archbishop Fiorenza. He was the one that consecrated the church.
He wouldn't.
So yeah, he wasn't as what's the word I'm looking for? He wasn't as strict, I guess, or he was a bit more flexible on those restrictions. So anyway, we better have a relic. If not, then we might have to build a new altar. I don't know. So, all right.
No comment.
How many relics does St. Bart's have? I'm going to find that out, Kristen Zubler. Nadia says, Basilica of St. Francis in Santa Fe has a large display of relics also. And then also there is a relic behind, there is a relic stand, and some folks are talking about that in the chat, behind us. I was told that it was St. Joseph. Another person told me it was St. Bartholomew.
It says St. Bartholomew there.
Is it St. Bartholomew?
It says
the
right
one in
there.
the church.
Because I've heard, because I've heard 2 people tell me 2 different things. So
yeah, it says St. Bartholomew.
Yeah, that's good. If you ever have the opportunity, says Jennifer, visit St. Anthony Chapel in Pittsburgh. It houses the largest collection of relics outside of the Vatican. Beautiful chapel.
Which St. Bartholomew is an amazing relic to have.
But-
But that's first generation saint right there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do we have any relics of Saint Joseph in
I
the
don't know.
world? I
No,
don't think so.
no, that's why.
No, because we. Anyway.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let me get through the chats
Yeah.
here because I want to make sure that everybody is able to participate here. So one, I lost my place. Your chats are coming in so quickly, but it's great. Brian Sutton says, my wedding band touched a reliquary holding a vial of St. John Paul II's blood. And I love that I wear a relic every day. That's right.
Yes.
Leila says, the great relics, legendary relics of Christ's Passion preserved in St. Peter's, a piece of the true cross, tip of the spear, the veil of Veronica. Absolutely. Bryn Sutton says, the sisters who keep the relic brought it to my kid's school. One of them is in Alum. I guess Alum, yeah. Nadia says, there is a piece of the true cross in Dickinson. That is exactly correct. It's very special.
Shrine of the True Cross.
Yeah. And LaDonna Hartman says, cool, Father Ricardo. That means you're just cool. That's what that means.
Yeah. Thank you. We
Yeah.
have also a relic of the True Cross in the Co-Cathedral in the processional cross.
Right.
What?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
see?
held that
Yes.
many times.
You're a second degree.
No, there are two. So
I've held both of them.
Oh, okay.
You're a second
Yeah.
degree relic, yeah. Christine Herman says, I believe the relic we have at St. Bartholomew is a small piece of bone from St. Bartholomew. So there you go, in the center of the cross that is on the stand near the statue of Mary. Layla says, Deacon Bill is not a relic. He is a true classic. Suzanne Perez is laughing at Father Ricardo.
Who?
Suzanne Perez, she's
Why,
laughing at
Suzanne?
you. I don't know, she's rolling around laughing.
said
I have a
Something
funny
funny.
face. I know.
Aggie Chris says, finding those relics sounds like a mission for a fervent soul and a shovel. Touche. Il Nelson says, Deacon Bill's a living saint. That is correct. The relic should be in the base of our altar, Jurix Enterprise says. And Nadia Simmons says, I was an altar server at the dedication mass. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Mhm.
And then Loving Life says hello to everybody. And Suzanne Perez says, Father Christopher, we do have a book with the history of St. Bart's and what is in it. I think that I have one. I think it talks about the relics. That would be good. I have seen that book. I have seen it, and I would have to go locate it. But if you can get us a copy, that would be really great. And then we can talk about it in our next Conversing Clergy. Jason Polo is asking the question, hello, Father Christopher. Great show. Love tonight's topic. I wanted to ask, what, if any, requirements to consecrate oneself to Our Lady via the 33-day method by St. Louis de Montfort? There really isn't any requirements beyond just doing it. Just follow that, and that's basically it. It's good to have it end on a feast day, to do the day on the day of the consecration, but I highly recommend it. Sylvia says, that's great to know about kissing the altar. Thanks, Father Ricardo. So, fantastic. All right, well, all this talk about being a fervent soul and really, really loving our Lord, I think it brings me up to the next topic, and that's about the incorruptible. So that's the favorite that I wanted to talk about. So let me go. Yeah,
It almost
I threw
seemed like
you
your
off.
meme
Yeah.
intro.
I did it on purpose. I did it on
I was
purpose.
like, oh, he guess
You
he's
tricked
changing the
us.
schedule.
Yeah. No, the incorruptibles, it's something that I want to talk about, and it's connected to the relics, obviously. But the incorruptibles are those occasions where the bodies of the saints, after they had been buried, and then they were taken out from their caskets or their tombs after maybe a decade or two, their bodies were discovered to be incorrupt. In other words, that they were preserved. They looked as if they looked the same as they did when the day that they died. Now, what's fascinating about this, and Father Ricardo and Christopher Meyer and I were going into a pretty deep conversation about this, is that a lot of times, or pretty much every time, the bodies of these bodies of the saints begin to decay after they're taken out. So there's a couple of opinions out there about the nature of the incorruptible, but I want to talk more about the theology behind it. Saint John Vianney, that's what you're looking at here, was a very holy priest, and I got to celebrate Mass at the altar over the body of Saint John Vianney, this very same incorruptible body that you're seeing here, and there was such a connection to him. And if you look at his hands, now his face is actually covered. That's a mask over his face, but his hands are not covered. So you can actually look at his hands, and they look very, very well preserved. So relatively speaking, but having a connection to him, to his body. Again, the sense of this was the body that God used to hear so many confessions, to celebrate all those masses, to bring people away from, towards our Lord Jesus Christ, away from eternal condemnation, inspiring the people to be very holy. All of that, I felt a connection when I celebrated Mass over the altar that was over his body. And so that's how I see it. Now, there are some questions about, okay, so what about the saints whose bodies began to decay after they were taken out of the tomb? And we had spoken about this. And it turns out that it's possible that some of the incorruptibles were such because of the air, the pressure, the humidity inside of the actual tomb or the casket, because there are examples of incorruptible bodies of people that weren't saints, or even of other religions, of that happening. Yeah, Hinduism, and that there was an honor that was being shown to those bodies. So it may not actually be a thing where it's miraculous, but one could say that the miracle is the miracle of location and timing. That let's just say that there's a scientific cause for it, or a natural cause, I should say. Well, why this specific saint, right? Why this specific person? So I think that's something that's another way that we can look at it. There's also reports of when they've taken the body out and then they smelled roses or flowers. So that's also part of the story.
Which
so,
that's a
anyway.
pretty big one. I mean, can you imagine? Because
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't taken a lot of bodies out, but I don't think they smell like. I haven't taken any bodies out, to
Oh
be
my
clear,
gosh,
Aggie
Chris.
Chris.
See?
Zero bodies.
Fervent souls, shovel. That's all you need.
But if I had,
Yeah.
I don't think they would smell like roses.
Yeah, right. And so what they do now is that these bodies that are corroding, they place masks over them, or they put wax over them. Again, it's just honoring. I think it's just honoring our Lord by honoring the saint. So Alcida Chasen says, what about when a normal person is found incorrupted after years buried? So again, I think that goes back to that perhaps natural explanation.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. Great chats in here. You know what else is incorruptible? What else is immortal?
Meme time.
Meme time is always here with us.
It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness. It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
God, I could really use a little guidance. So she sends a little guy. He begins to dance. What's happening there? An angel asks God. God says, I don't know, man. She just asked for a little guidance. A little guy dance.
Wow, wow.
Thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. Let's get a war started, because this is Catholic meme time. All right.
This is the meme that's having like our very scrupulous Catholic just go off the rails. You know, they're like, oh, I have to be so careful how I ask God things. I'm so sorry if this meme has damaged your spiritual life.
Just don't ask for a little guidance. Yeah.
Be more specific.
Aggie Chris says, all you need is a fervent soul and a shovel. He says that should be a t-shirt.
Or a mug.
Yeah. Bobby says, I love the incorruptible saint, such a validation of God's power over death. I think it would be a demonstration, right? At least in terms of helping us to look at the dignity of the body and its resurrection. Carolina Ruiz says, my family and I have gone to the church where the remains of Santo Toribio are in Santana, Jalisco.
Santo Toribio Romo.
Romo.
Yes.
What a very good.
He is a patron saint of immigrants, I believe.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So we're about to go into another segment, and that is the PDC, so Pictures of the Domestic Church. And we've gotten some great photos, pictures that we would like to show you. Before we do that, though, for those who have joined us after the beginning, somewhere in the middle, we're very glad that you are with us. Conversing Clergy, we are clergy that talk and listen to engage in conversation so that we can hear Jesus Christ in our conversations and have our hearts burning within us, just like the apostles at Emmaus. So if you're interested in more content like this, these live streams, the videos that we do for the scriptures, the daily rosaries and chaplets that we've been doing, and if you're on Facebook, please feel free to like the video and follow the Facebook page, whichever Facebook page you're on, or if you are on the YouTube, you can hit subscribe and also the bell notification so that you can be notified when we have more live streams and videos. So thank you so much, Christopher, for really getting that going. If you hadn't done that, it would never have finished. It's a slow animation. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and go into PDC, Pictures of the Domestic Church.
This one's for Africa. No, no, no. They can't hear me.
They can. I forgot to remind Chris that they can.
Thank you. Meantime, they can't hear us, but apparently they can.
Okay,
for that one.
I just want to say that Christopher Meyer is not racist. The
No,
actual
that's the
title.
Shakira song.
No,
Yeah,
it's a
that is.
Shakira. Waka waka.
No, but it sound but the way the title was Africa.
Yeah,
Like it was
for the last
African
song
something.
we had.
Yeah.
So I thought
All right.
that's funny.
I didn't say he's not a racist. I just said I
Well,
wasn't
and there's
saying
a picture,
that
and
he's
I
not
think
a
that
racist.
picture's funny because it shows Africa. It's like pictures of domestic church, and it's like we're showing pictures of St. Bart's and Katy, and it shows Africa on a map. I just think it's funny.
No, it's worldwide because people can be sending it. People are watching from Italy.
Yes,
People are
that's
watching
right.
from Italy, from Mexico, from Nigeria, everywhere.
I hope we can get one from Nigeria.
We need
Who
one.
knows?
We
too.
need one, please.
We need, please.
Just to show the legitimacy of the intro.
Okay,
All right.
this is great.
Here's the first picture of the domestic church. This was sent to us by the Newman family, and their youngest son is it George?
Henry.
Henry Newman. He loves saying mass. He's dressed up like a priest. He's got a chasuble there. He's got his vessels. He's got the altar there. It doesn't have a relic in it, but it's good enough.
Did
So
you
really,
play
it's
the
just
mass
amazing.
when
Just
you were a
beautiful.
kid?
I did actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
I have never a single time done a practice mass. Not a single time.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Well,
No.
not everybody
Not
does.
every-
Not every.
I remember
every
with
future
my
priest does.
cousins, I
Yeah.
just played giving communion, but I never actually celebrated
No,
mass. as
like
a
Henry
play.
has now done a lot more than I have.
Well, when I see this, though,
Wow.
I mean, this is legitimate. I mean, he even has the epiclesis going in the top there, putting his hands over the gifts. He's doing a genuflection with the hands on the altar. That's a move that the pastor does because he has bad knees from football. So he's actually, I think he's paying attention. He's like, well, Father
Yeah.
grabs
That
the altar
is
to get his weight
really
back up.
funny that he picked
Yeah.
that up from you. And then one day he's going to be a priest and he's gonna say, that's how I've always done it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Since time immemorial. That's right. That's how you say it.
I grew up doing it like that.
Yeah. These guys are giving me jazz, by the way. They're giving me jazz. So
I love that. That is so moving. Thank you.
Oh, it's
Newman.
beautiful.
Thank you for sending it.
Now, what you're seeing is real, okay? But I want to show you also what I was seeing in my own mind, just visualizing the future of this young boy. So I decided to do an artistic representation of what that might look like. So this is my horrible Photoshop job. I was trying to make it better, but I was just thinking, imagine him behind the altar
Oh,
there.
I see what you did.
Yeah.
I really hope that I'm not a seminarian for him as a priest.
There you are.
Formation is
Christopher
not
Meyer.
going well.
Yeah. He had to do a second pastoral year.
Well, that would have been if he's a priest at that
Yeah.
point, that's like my 50th pastoral
yeah,
year.
2030. Yeah, so I should have given it to Father Ricardo. He would have done a better job. but
No,
that was
I love it. It's great.
that
I
was
think
my
it looks
attempt.
great. I have myopia.
Yeah. Oh, Nadia Simmons says, how does he know what the epiclesis is, Aggie Chris? I think you're talking about for
She's probably
Henry.
she's saying because of oh my gosh, Catechesis is the Good
Yeah.
Shepherd. She's his teacher.
Ah.
So she's probably patting herself on the back. I see you, Nadia. I see
Aggie
you.
Chris says he yells epiclesis during Mass. Epiclesis. Epiclesis.
Well, y'all wouldn't even be.
Yeah.
You all would be like, you might even break if you heard that during
Yeah.
Mass, huh? If you were like, going, Epiclesis.
It's epiclesis time. Nadia says Mary cheered when she saw Henry. Suzanne says Henry is adorable. We agree. Father C. Laura Machu says, Father C., you don't know that there isn't a relic in Henry's altar. This is very true.
That's a good point.
You know,
Actually,
the Newmans have connections, you know.
we're about as sure as there's one there that there's one here.
Now his so this is from his I'm assuming his mother, Allie Newman, says he makes his siblings do the readings and sing songs when he plays Mass. Very cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so cute. Everyone loves it. Everyone loves it. Thumbs up. Thumbs up all
Future
around.
priest.
I like that they
Future
call him
priest.
Happy Hank. That's his nickname.
Yeah.
Happy Hank.
Happy Hank.
See, that's how a vocation starts, right?
Right.
Or it can start. And I know there are different stories, but yeah, that's fostering vocations at home. It's
very cool.
Thank you for doing
Very
that.
cool. Thank you for sending that in.
And he's an Aggie, so he's a lock to be a priest.
Yes. Well, to be a saint, I would say.
Yeah, fair.
So Deacon Bill Wagner says Henry Augustine! Exclamation
Henry
mark.
Augustine.
All right, we're going to look now at the next picture from the domestic church. So this isn't about me, by the way. This is a photo that was sent in by Deacon Bill Wagner, who's watching right now, and I made sure that he was going to be on this. So he's watching the Easter Vigil Mass, and what you see on the right side is the Easter Vigil candle that was used in 1976 at St. Bartholomew. And I thought that was really special. So I think what happened was that after the candle gets used up, sometimes the used candle after the full year is given to somebody else, or sometimes they cut them up as well. I've seen that, and they hand them out to parishioners, and they can have that as a devotional candle. So I thought that was really cool.
So
1976.
this candle was from St. Bartholomew.
That's the Easter Vigil candle in 1976. And he said it was a first. He decided to light it on this occasion for the first time. Since then, yeah.
And what a cool moment, but wow, I hope that doesn't happen again. Deacon Bill, the head of RCIA, was not at our Easter Vigil because we were staying under 10.
I know.
And we didn't have anybody to bring to the church. What a weird year.
Yeah. It was something that I said as well. I said, I hope this never happens again.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's yeah. So we got a lot of great comments for that. Sari Duffy says, wow, love the deacon pick, Deacon Bill. And Irma says, very nice. On the YouTube side, Nadia is she's very thrilled. 1976 candle. Terry says, me encantó. And Suzanne says, wow, 1976 Easter candle. All right, we're going to move on to the next one. This is from the Vasco family. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Vasco or Vasco, I think. So they have a nice setup there with the larger TV, and they have a table there with candles, with 3 candles, and they have a nice devotional candle on the left side. I'm not sure what it says, but it looks really nice, and Our Lady of Fatima there. So just beautiful. Just a nice setup. And that's from Ken, Jen, Connor, Parker, and Dean Vasco. So thank you so much for those pictures. Yes. Those pictures of the domestic church. Very encouraging to see everyone continuing to pray and to celebrate the Mass and continuing on in this time of isolation. But the pictures of the domestic church, I think we'll just continue doing anyway, even after the quarantine's over, because I think it's really great to do. So if you want to send any pictures of the domestic church to us, you can just send it over to cmeyer at st-bart.org. That's C, the letter C, Meyer at st-bart.org. Also, if you want to send in any memes as well. Now, we do have a good collection of pictures that have been sent for the domestic church, and as well as some memes. So we're going to continue to work through those. So please don't be discouraged if you don't see yours coming up. It will be brought up. So
and send them as JPEGs. It just makes my life easier.
Please send them as JPEGs. He keeps sending it to me in it's a HAIC format, and I'm thinking,
wow.
And I'm thinking, you know what country do you think we live in where we use a HIAC? What is that?
I forwarded an email to him, and he responds, "This is America. Make it a JPEG." And so I had to convert it.
Maybe those are the ones from Nigeria.
Maybe so. See? It's legitimate. That legitimizes what I've been saying about the PDC.
Oh, that's good. Man, that's good.
Too funny. All right, so we're getting closer to the tail end of our evening, and so we're going to open up now for question and answer. Any questions you would like to ask us? Ask a theological question, or it could be a question to me as pastor of St. Bartholomew. We can talk about the goings-ons of St. Bartholomew. So, and continue to behave so that we can see that third meme. That's the next.
Or not.
That's the other thing. Or don't behave. I don't care.
I cannot believe
it's not
this.
my problem.
I don't know how he got it. I'm confused.
Yeah, you'll see. Yeah, Patrick Conisado says this year's Triduum was strange, but so powerful as well. Thank you for that, Patrick. Yeah, one thing I can tell you, and I said this last time, I can't say it enough, was that Father DeCarlo's Exalts at chanting was just very, very beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So I look forward to that.
Definitely was a beautiful experience singing that. Thank you.
Yeah. Did you sing it during your diaconate year or no?
Yes, I did.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At St. Patrick Church. greetings. See if anybody from St. Patrick is watching.
Sarah Duffy's asking, an inkling on when Mass will reopen? Is there an estimate? I can tell you that, I can say at least this much. There are openings that are happening right now under Governor Greg Abbott for certain stores, etc. And so I would imagine that there are conversations happening with the bishops in Texas, talking about if we can reopen for certain masses or certain sacraments. I imagine there might be more about coming up in the future. So, but no idea in terms of estimates. I wish I could tell you more.
Mm-hmm.
Eduardo says, I just ran 3 miles listening to you and didn't even feel tired. You are pure energy. Oh, good.
Wow.
We were
Hey,
glad.
that's awesome.
Yeah, we were glad. Hopefully you can return the favor. I need some energy to run 3 miles.
That's awesome.
Oh, 1976 was the year, Pam says here, was the year of Deacon Bill's ordination. Wow. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Deaconville.
That's very special.
I was not even
Yeah.
close to being born. My parents hadn't even met.
I mean, I was not very close, but I was close.
I don't know if I was, I was 79, so.
Oh, super
Yeah,
close.
yeah, super close. I'm
3
generation.
years.
You're a millennial. I don't know if you realize that.
That's why
You're a millennial.
That's why I'm cool.
What year were you born?
Debate. I've heard that it starts 1985,
And you
and
were
I'm 82.
you're kind of there.
So
I'm still
Maybe
I'm
not.
the forgotten Gen X, the cynical.
I was
You know.
transitioning millennial.
Yeah. Well, I still have that, that desire to skateboard. And,
But I
and be
definitely
rebellious
don't
and-
relate very well with millennials in my way of thinking. So
Yeah, that's true.
maybe not.
That's true.
Well, I relate with you, but you are you? Do you consider yourself a millennial? What people think about millennials?
No.
What do people think about millennials?
Lazy, not able to commit.
Self-entitled.
I
Self-entitled.
definitely like the commitment thing
Not
is something I've had to
intelligent.
work on.
No
like
talent.
I definitely used to be that type of person who was like, yeah, maybe we'll see. Like I wouldn't, and then I noticed that as kind of a flaw.
Well, yeah, you've definitely
Millennials.
changed then.
Seminary formation, it's good.
Jack Bailey says, Father Ricardo, I remember how well you sang during your year at St. Ignatius in spring. So there you go.
That
Yeah.
one was a different exalted. That was it was Father Coy, Father Norbert, and me. We did a different version of it. So it was I was actually super nervous.
So it was a quartet or something?
No, it was like 3 different parts.
Oh, wow.
But it was interesting. It was interesting.
Huh.
But yeah, definitely
Fascinating.
not. It was not the same one. Yeah. Thank you.
And Marty Brown says, Father Christopher, I cannot find your homily from last Sunday. Where do I go to find it? You go to, maybe Pamela, if you're watching this, Pam, if you can post a link to the homily from this last Sunday. If you go to the video section of St. Bartholomew, then there will be a list of all the videos, and there's videos being published every single day. Those are the live streams for the masses. So you'll find the live stream for the Sunday Mass for 9 a.m., and then you will, actually, you better do 5 p.m. because 9 a.m. the power went out. But look for the Saturday 5 p.m. Mass, and then just kind of fast forward through it. And Father Rick, you have to stay with St. Bart longer and sing for us every vigil.
I
I agree. I agree.
Thank you.
I have to tell the Cardinal every year he's not ready to be a pastor. Not ready. Not ready. He needs another year.
I love I'm going to say this line because I think it's so funny. And Father Christopher told me that he told Father Nicholas, he told the Cardinal about Father Nicholas, he's not ready to be a pastor. He needs to stay here for longer, kind of joking because he still wanted
And
him.
he turned beet red.
And you should say what Cardinal said.
Oh,
though.
yeah. So when I told the Cardinal that, and poor Father Nicholas had turned beet red, and the Cardinal said to me, well, Chris, I guess we're just going to have to send him to another parish since he's not growing here. So that was good. Yeah, the Cardinal's super sharp.
Yeah, I love his sense of humor.
Yeah, he's fun to banter with.
Okay,
So.
this is so cool, and I hope it's public. So my friend had his interview with Cardinal Donato for transitional deacon ordination today, and he was talking to him. Cardinal Donato was a transitional deacon for 3 years because his diocese would not ordain guys who were still studying in Rome until they finished their STL, which traditionally you get ordained and go back and finish.
Right.
He was a transitional deacon for 3 years.
I don't think a lot of people know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
gotta be
dropping
torturous.
random facts
That's
on the
gotta
live
be
stream.
torturous. Also, a fun fact: Archbishop Fiorenzo was ordained at 24. He had to get permission. to be ordained
Wow.
at that age.
So that's
Yeah.
as young as it can be.
Yeah, 25 is the cutoff. Yeah.
And 24 permission, 23 you wait
Yeah.
a year.
So we have some other questions coming in. Nadia says, "How many godchildren do you have?" If you're asking, are you asking me or Father Ricardo or Christopher Meyer?
Maybe all of us.
All of us. I have 5 godchildren, four daughters and 1 son.
I also have. Oh, well, no, I'm sorry. I have 4.
4. Yeah.
I actually have 0. I have a very small family. I have 2 cousins, no nephews, no nieces yet. I have some friends who are starting to have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 0.
Well, that's
But
what-
one is on. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for this baptism to happen. So I will
okay.
have 5. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I gotta wait, right?
Yeah, we
it's
have
hard.
to wait.
Joni Haven says, "A little late, but thank you for being there during Palm Sunday. With the Palm pickup, I miss all 3 of you and pray for you each day. Thank you so much." Mari Cruz says, "Christopher, it's a little disturbing seeing you drink from a skull, especially when we can see the teeth when you're drinking."
It's awesome.
Devson
It's
says,
awesome,
"Greetings." Brent Sutton asks a question. "People keep talking about signups to attend Mass when it reopens. Is that even a thing? Public Mass that isn't really public? My husband is maybe tired of listening to me rant about this." You see, that's the problem, is the number of people that can be inside of a building, right? And this is the argument that I have heard made before, where they say, if you can have grocery stores open, Home Depots open, liquor stores are open, why can't you have the masses open? And we already know that Home Depot, liquor stores, etc., that they are following a public ordinance of no more than 25. They literally have people standing outside to make sure of it, and people that are lined up outside to wait, they have to be 6 feet from each other. So, how would we do that with the Mass? That's the question. How can you do that with the Mass? So can we have people standing outside 6 feet apart, no more than 25 during the Mass, or 10? Actually, in our case, it would be 10. So,
And you said that I'm not a millennial, and I will be the first person to be like, "Oh, society, let's get them. They hate the church, and
Yeah,
it's us
right.
against the world." But I tell people, look at the example. The closest example right now to the church for the secular world is concerts and sporting events, and neither of those is close to open right now. So
Yeah.
it's funny, and it makes a good meme to say,
Right.
"Oh, look at the
It's-
liquor stores. They hate the
yeah.
church." But
It's
stadiums,
not just
concerts.
about opening the church, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's about staying for an hour,
yeah.
right, with the possibility of somebody coughing close to you.
they're packed
Yeah.
in.
If you're in the store, you're walking. I mean, the
Yeah.
chances of getting somebody's sneeze,
Yeah.
are
Yeah,
very
it's
rare.
it
low.
really is a very frustrating situation. I know, for example, the other one is parking lot masses. Well, there's a couple of things there that we have been asked not to do. That number one is risk of desecration of the Eucharist, for dropping it on the pavement, and also placing the host inside of cars and not having a control over how the host will be received. And then, but let's say we didn't even distribute communion. You're going to have people in the parking lot that are leaving their homes to come up and congregate on the church property. And the cardinal has asked us to say, look, I want you to encourage them to stay home so that we can all stay healthy. He's concerned for their health. He's also concerned for our health. In Italy, 86 priests died because of the coronavirus. And there's a lot of elderly priests as well in our archdiocese. So he's also thinking about that. And I think that's something that we have to consider. And the other part, especially in mega parishes, things get even more complicated because we have 6,000 households, right? Let's say we have all the normal masses, right? We establish all the mass times, 8 masses on the weekend, and they're parking lot masses. Hey, if you're familiar with the grounds of St. Bartholomew, you know what that would look like. Maybe 20% will actually be able to see the mass taking place outside. Everybody else is going to be circling around the campus. Where are all those cars going to fit? So I mean, that's another, and it's just it gets more complicated when you get to the mega parish. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to limit the number of people to go to mass, then it would be a sign up. But even if you did a sign up, what would happen? Well, you would have people showing up for the sign up, and then other people showing up anyway. Because I know how people are. They're going to behave in a way where maybe they may not think that the rules completely apply to them. And I tend to see that in a church environment more than in other environments, probably because they know that we can't do anything. We're not going to arrest them or something like that. But anyway, it's really complicated. So I hope that answers the question. But yeah, it's a very frustrating situation. I'm right there with you. So Audrey Wynn says, is it true that black and white checkerboard pattern considered a satanic symbol and churches should not have that pattern? I never heard that before.
Yeah, me neither. Sorry.
If you can find a source, that might be helpful. Sienna wants to know what language you speak and if you learned them in the seminary. I speak English, Spanish. I speak a little bit of French and very, 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 very little Latin. I understand just a little bit. Latin and Spanish I learned in the seminary. French I learned on my own. And then English I learned later on at St. Bartholomew. Just kidding. So I grew up with English. What about you?
I speak Spanish, English, and Italian. And Latin,
You speak Italian?
a little bit, probably 25-30%.
Ricardo,
I did
adios.
not
And
know
when
that.
I am I've been in Italy, and twice I've been there for like a month, and so it has helped me a lot to remember the vocabulary. Yeah, I learned it in high school
Wow.
when I was in Mexico, and it's a beautiful language.
Yeah.
And very similar to Spanish, so it's kind of easy to.
I heard that you can just speak Spanish in Italy and the Italians will understand what
Actually,
you're saying.
no, that's not true.
They won't understand what you're saying?
No, I tried when I was there
Oh,
in
it didn't
Italy,
work.
and I actually found myself speaking more English than
Oh,
Spanish
really?
in Italy.
No.
So, but anyway, so I speak those three.
Yeah,
Cool.
so I'm working on Spanish. I know some Latin. I mean, I can read basic church things with context clues. But yeah, I mean, at the seminary we do some Spanish, not as much as you
Yeah.
would think.
But you're going to be sent.
Formally.
You're going to be sent somewhere to
Yeah.
learn. Yeah.
Well, we're trying to figure out this summer, obviously,
Yeah.
with the traveling. It's a little bit frustrating. Say prayers for that because
Yeah.
I was supposed to do a Spanish immersion this summer. Yeah, Latin is kind of gotten. It's not required at the seminaries anymore. It used to be that you had to learn it because you studied theology.
And
Yeah.
Greek.
Yeah.
Well,
It was
canon-
required.
Canon law says we're supposed to learn Latin.
Now, you
So,
forgot to
anyway.
mention Texan. I thought you were going to say that you spoke Texan.
English is Texan. Texan is English. Anybody who doesn't speak Texan English doesn't
I-
speak the real English.
I definitely don't speak Texan, and not because I don't like it. It's hard for me. I don't even say y'all, and I've been in this country
Do
for
you really
13
not?
years.
Well, I mean, ustedes, right?
well.
Ustedes, but we don't have that distinction with you and you.
I don't understand why people make such a big deal out of y'all, because that's not the cool word that Texans made up. The cool word that Texans actually made up is y'all, which means
Y'all.
you all will.
Yeah.
Y'all.
Yo,
Y'all
will.
will have to come over sometime, which literally means
Yeah.
you all will have to go over.
Hey, do you mind teaching me some Texan?
Yeah, no
Okay,
problem.
cool.
Yeah, it'll have to
Can
be
you teach
later
me
on.
Spanish?
Yeah. Here's a question. Here's a question right here. Luigi G says, "Are you still going to do 1024 next year?"
I'm not going to be here next year,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So I'm going to be back at the seminary.
Yeah.
Who knows what the seminary
Who knows what that's going to look like? Yeah.
Might
yeah.
be like all us living there and taking online classes or something.
Jay Rodriguez says, the Rosary Center site where I go to pray the Rosary, there are references to the Bible, but my Bible doesn't have some verses. My understanding is they use the English Dewey from the Greek Septuagint. I'm not sure. I have to go more into the Rosary Center site, but that would be an interesting thing to look at. Layla says, if the Saturday night Mass is a youth Mass, why not have a senior Mass to protect the seniors? It would seem to me that even the seniors might make each other sick. They might. That's why even in the nursing homes, they're segregated into their own rooms. They're not allowed to leave them. That's what my grandfather's going through. So it's really, really a bad situation. What are the options for St. Bart's financial struggles and covering expenses? So right now, I think I can say at least this much, that we are looking at alternative funding that is out there. So for example, the SBA loan is something that churches can obtain. And so we're hoping to obtain that. And in the meantime, what you can do if you want to give to St. Bartholomew, and I usually talk about this at the end, you can go to givebart.com, and that'll take you to the Faith Direct page if you're not already giving regularly. And we would appreciate if you can do that, and if you have the ability to do so. Luigi says, how long have you been a pastor, Father Christopher? I was made a pastor back when, let's see, it was after my third year of priesthood, so that would have been 2008, 10, 11. So 2011. So it's been 9 years.
Which is really fast, by the way. Now it's starting
Yeah.
to become more common, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We do have a priest shortage, so everybody who's watching, you have to give one son.
Yeah. Loving Life says, you're doing what is best for us, Father Christopher. We'll wait until you tell us you are ready to open the church. Thank you. Joni says, Father Christopher, should we now call you Obi-Wan? And Father Rick, should it be Father Luke? And Deacon Chris, should it be? Oh, not Deacon Chris,
I'm a
not just
deacon
yet.
now.
Oh, but look at what she's. Deacon Chris, should we call you Deacon Jar Jar? Thumbs up if you like that one. Thumbs up, man. That just hits you right in the heart. Joe,
Who is that? So I can write them mean letters.
oh my goodness. Joe Isham says, "What do you think about receiving a sheet of paper for your penance?" I'm not sure what that question means.
A sheet of paper?
Maybe a sheet of paper telling you what the penance is. I'm not sure. Bryn says, "I really appreciate your answer. I'm so thankful to be in a parish with so much online outreach." Thank you, Bryn. Rob says, "What if the logo is rotated 100 degrees to look like a drop of Christ's blood?" It's an option.
Hey.
Def sends
I like
prayers for the weather tonight. There are some tornado warnings, so we got to be careful with that.
My truck.
And LaDonna says, "Y'all, it's not just Texan, it's a Southern thing. My mom is from Mississippi, and I've used it all my life, and I am from Michigan." So I'm going to go through the comments on Facebook here. Let's see. I want to make sure I capture these. We have a question here from Jack Bailey. Oh, I'm sorry. So Marissa Aguirre says, "The Sunday candle mass was beautiful." Miosotis Salazar says, "Gracias por ese maravilloso esfuerzo que nos mantiene unidos y creciendo en la fe." So thank you so much, Miosotis. She's saying this is wonderful and very interesting. Krista Dooley says, "Would you ever consider having the new deacons on as guests on Conversing Clergy?" We did get 2 new deacons, right? Or am I mistaken? We don't have 2 new deacons. We have men who are studying to be deacons, but we don't have 2 new deacons yet.
Yeah, and 2 of them became like candidates officially.
Yeah,
That's probably
Yeah.
what
that
she's
was in
referencing.
Mass with the Liturgy of the Hours.
But I can tell you this: we would like to have guests on as soon as the quarantine is open. Then I would like to have guests on. That's definitely part of the future of St. Barth, of the Conversing Clergy, even having them through a web interface. So definitely in the future. And Krista says, "Weren't they featured in the bulletin?" You might think of the candidates.
So that was David Jazerski
Yeah.
and Sam Habibi,
Yeah.
who are both. That means they're getting much closer.
Yeah. Cherry Bryant says, "Black and white checkerboard is a Masonic symbol, I believe." And yeah, we got some help there from Pam clarifying the deacon question.
We have some here.
I know. I wonder if they're commenting on these soundboards.
Jacinto says, "Can we at least consider resuming Eucharistic adoration with a 10-person limit?" And that was something that I had considered, but unfortunately, this is what happened. We were one of the last parishes in the Archdiocese to keep our adoration chapel open. We might have been the last one. I held it out as long as I could. And the rule was no more than 10 inside. And if people wanted to go inside, there were too many people, they have to wait and then keep 6 feet of distance. And we put in 10 chairs to help enforce that. And what we have found was time and time again, we had 15 people, 5 people would just show up. And we had signs posted, and we have staff showing up to tell them, look, you need to respect this rule. Even in the very end, I saw 15 people or 12 people inside, and 8 people were all bunched up against the entrance. So, I mean, I just personally, as a pastor, feel frustrated because I try to provide those opportunities. And again, I don't know what happens on church property where there's kind of a sense of, I don't need to follow the rules. So I don't know.
And another thing that I just want to mention, kind of at your defense, is a lot of these grocery stores, people have tons of extra staff. I mean, if you go to Chick-fil-A, they have tons of employees there, way more than usual, to help run these lines. Well, hard truth about St. Bartholomew is we've had to furlough most of our staff. Right. So not only do we not even have our usual staff who aren't used to just opening doors and making sure there aren't too many people, but we don't even have what we... there's no way we have more.
And even when we had the staff, it was just constant. I don't know, but then again, it's not like Home Depot where we had someone on there all the time, constantly. So anyway,
because we're not making enough money like these places that are making more money right now and can afford.
Exactly.
We have the opposite problem, unfortunately.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens in the future. Hopefully things open up. And then Sarah says, "It takes some time. I'm from Wisconsin, but once you settle into it, y'all becomes normal." So. Awesome. Well, this has been a great chat, and I think a good way to continue our Q&A.
We're out of time. Bye.
I think
my name is Christopher Meyer. I'm a seminarian. He's Father Christopher Pastor, Father Ricardo Brookovicker. Bye.
And thank you, and welcome to Meme Time.
It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. Meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness. It's meme time, it's
Call your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time. It's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
Hey, who is that? Whoever it is, he matches his roommates at Mass. It's called being Roman Catholic.
That's awesome. Where'd you get this?
Here's where I got it. Okay, I put in Google funny Catholic memes,
Wow.
and I kid you not, this somehow showed up in the search. And I looked at it and I said, "Oh, that's kind of funny." Matches, and I said, "Oh, that's Father David Condola." And then I said, "That we can include that. It's got Father David's Aggie." And then I looked closer and I said, "Oh, wait a
Without the
minute
beard.
here, without the beard,
No beard.
no beard, no glasses,
Khaki pants. I don't have khaki pants anymore.
Yeah, that's right. It's all black. It's all black now.
Yeah, so we, believe it or not, so that was the first week with my new roommates, and one of our roommates wasn't there, and he's always glad he wasn't in that picture because he hated that we did that. That was Padre Pio's pad. It was household I lived junior and senior year, and we were losers, but we wore blue for Mary, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And man, we got a lot of heat for that. We were like in the first or second row. You know, we're just
Wow.
immature college kids. And
That's
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very good. That is awesome. So there, I'm gonna leave it up there as long as we can, and I'm gonna let you go ahead and do some copies if you want to do the snip tool on Microsoft Windows, and so very good. We do have a few more comments here about the adoration. Maybe start with the adorers. We actually did have it set up in terms of just having the adoration chapel, just the two adorers to keep perpetual adoration going. So we did have that originally set up, but that was before the hard order came in from Greg Abbott to shut down, not from Greg Abbott, but from the Harris County, because it wasn't considered an essential service. So that might be another possibility, is to open up perpetual adoration again, but that also means that we have to line up those adorers, get them all set up, get them lined up, and then do it that way. But it would be exclusively the two adorers, or people that would just sign up, but then that would mean that we would have to keep it locked down, and then we have to manage and tell people, they're showing up outside and telling them, look, this is exclusive to the adorers. In which case you'll get people lining up outside, then you're back to square one with more than 10 people congregating on the property. So, and that's the other thing too, is that the cardinal has asked not to have people congregating on the property. So for any reason, not for confession, not for adoration, etc. So folks, it really is much more complicated. These are great ideas that you're coming up with, but we've thought through all of these different options. And I'm always open to more feedback though. So at any rate, so we got a lot of thumbs up on that meme. Very popular.
I'm going to have to be doing damage control for weeks.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for your questions and answers. Just to let you know what you have to look forward to in the future. So I think, Father Ricardo, do you want to talk to them about the information and things that we have to look forward to?
Yes. Okay, so as you know, the rosaries, we're praying the rosaries every single day, except Sundays. What is it? Is it Mondays in English, Tuesdays in Spanish at 3 p.m., Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m., 6:45 with adoration,
bilingual.
exposition, bilingual. Thursdays English at 3 p.m. and then Fridays and Saturdays at 3 p.m. in
Fridays
in
English,
Spanish.
Saturdays English. The schedule's
just
on.
go to the website and you'll find out.
This is harder than it looks.
I know, right? So give if you want to give your donations, your weekly donations, as you would if you would be coming to Mass. Thank you for those who have been doing that. We really appreciate your generosity. But if you want to do that, please go to www.giftbard.com and it'll send you to this Faith Direct link. Also, if you want and you are of need of confession, please email us to the email, which is confessions@talkingpriest.com. confessions@talkingpriest.com. And and we'll get back with you. And then also, if you want to send your pictures of the PDC, the pictures from the domestic church, email them to Chris Meyer at cmeyer@st-bard.org. And before I forget, I want to say hi to my sister Julissa, who she's been asking me, just say hi. Okay, so thank you for watching.
Very good. And again, if you want to be a Patreon patron to help financially the Conversing Clergy ministry, feel free to click on the link below on YouTube or above on Facebook, the Patreon page there. And that's a way to also be included in the ministry and help to shape its future. So if you're interested in that, it's there for you.
And if you want to send me money directly, my Venmo, I'm just kidding.
What is your what's your PayPal email address? Awesome. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and close it up now. I'm sorry if we weren't able to get to all the chats, or they just started coming in, and just a lot of great chats. And we're gonna continue to do what we can do to include you, because this is Conversing Clergy, where we are clergy that talk and listen in order to provide a conversation in which we hear Jesus himself speak, so that our hearts may burn within us, just like the apostles who are on their way to Emmaus. My name is Father Christopher Plant. I'm the pastor of St. Bartholomew here in Katy, Texas.
My name is Father Rick Arriola, and I am the parochial vicar.
My name is Christopher Meyer, and I'm in a meme.
Thank you for coming to Conversing Clergy. We'll see you next time.
Here I am at your door. Would you let me in? I have gained all the world, restless heart again. And I've been here before. How do you forgive? I just wanna feel you move closer. Would you make your move? It's your endless love. It's your endless love. It's your endless love that satisfies our soul. There are wars in my mind, fighting who I am. There are lies telling me I'm a worthless man. Would you speak to my heart? Let hope rise again. I just wanna feel you move closer. Would you make your move? It's your endless love. It's your endless love. It's your endless love that satisfies our soul. Love is a movement that puts us in motion to fly.